What's up everyone, today we take a look at the Markline Headless prototype. So, hope you enjoyed that demo track. It was a lot of fun with this guitar to make that track. I really enjoyed myself playing this guitar. It is fantastic, so let's talk about it. Well, yeah, as you can see, I don't need to mention it. It is a headless model. It is a prototype of a headless series model that will be available from Markline in 2020. Or not really series model, but just a model that you can order and pretty much spec the way you want. Talking about specs, a beautiful flame maple top in this black purple burst, matching the Purple Heart fretboard. We've got a Wenge neck with two Purple Heart stripes and a two-piece Swamp Ash body. Maybe you can see it the way I hold this thing. This weighs absolutely nothing. It's about 2.7 kilograms, so it's absolutely weightless. I'm not used anymore to play with the guitar on a strap, but I tried it with this one and it just, you don't feel it at all. It's just so cool, and I can imagine that this is a absolutely killer live guitar. Also because of the missing headstock, you're less likely to, just smash into somebody or your drummer, whatever, if you're in a tight venue or in a tight rehearsal space. Anyways, continuing with the specs, we have Purple Heart covered bare knuckle Ragnarok pickups, which sound really clean and surgical, and it kind of matches the overall guitar. It's a modern metal guitar. A beautiful mechanical sounding Schaller 5-way. I love that noise. It just feels high quality, just like the rest of the guitar. There is nothing. I mean, this is a prototype, apparently, but there's no loss in quality whatsoever. It just feels so great. You have a nice satin poly finish on the body and an open pore tongue hole finish, which you can smell actually. It smells nice and woody. And a headless bridge system by T4M, which I want to say a word about. I don't know if you noticed, but if you take a look at the back of the head, whatever you call it, headpiece, you can see the string balls in here. So this system works as follows. You put the strings through the headpiece and you have to cut them off at a certain length down here, tighten them up, and then string them up or tune up. It sounds a bit confusing, but it is not. I mean, if you follow the steps, which are quite easy, there's no problem at all with restringing this guitar. Now, just as a side note, this is probably the only headless model from Markline that will have this system. I talked with Marco and he says he's probably going to upgrade the bridge to another system where you put the strings through here, the bridge, and lock them down here at the headpiece. Yes, finally, let's talk about the scale. I didn't mention the scale, but we have a 26.5 to 25.5 inch and it's the guitar's tuned to drop C, so you have a very, very light string gauge and still the tension on the strings that you need, and it just feels so good. It's always nice to have a thin string gauge, but still a lot of tension due to the scale. We have glow-in-the-dark side dots and fretboard markers. Speaking of that fretboard, let's take a minute to talk about those frets. When I unboxed this guitar and played it for the first time, I was just blown away by these frets. These are stainless steel frets, and they have a special treatment. You can't see the fret slot at the side. Plus, I think they are rounded before they are put in, so the edges are not even, nicely filed. They're just round. There is no edge on the fret, and it is just the best feeling ever. Plus, they are so well polished. If you play, it's just like butter. Your hands fly over the fretboard like it's butter. It's absolutely incredible, and the sustain this guitar has is also phenomenal. I am really blown away. Yes, so how does it feel? How does it sound? Of course, it feels absolutely incredible. It is super ergonomic because it's so light, and you can put it, in the classical position without any problem and noodle around. I mean, ergonomic wise, there's nothing to complain. The neck has a perfect shape, slim C, I would say, modern C. I'm comfortable with almost any neck, so I have nothing to complain at all. The sound of this guitar is really special. I think it's very percussive. It has a kind of a twanginess to it, which you can hear when you play it acoustically. It's really resonant as well. Don't know if you can hear that, but it's really loud, unplugged. I love that thing. Yeah, speaking of sound, so I really like those pickups. They are so surgical, clean, and cutting through. It is absolutely immense, and I can absolutely understand why Periphery would use these pickups, or Misha. A position I really like is the blend of both humbuckers, which you wouldn't think that is usable for metal, but it is. I recorded the first riff of my demo track in that position. It just sounds so, really dry and almost a bit acoustic. It is such an inspiring instrument. I really had fun writing the track. The riffs just flow with this guitar. So yes, without further ado, let's hear some individual sounds of this. You're going to be blown away because this thing just rips. It just... As always, I'm running into my Focusrite 2i2 interface, into Logic Pro, and into Overloud THU software. You can get my presets on my Patreon, and the link is down in the description below. Let's go. Alright everyone, hope you enjoyed the Markline Headless prototype. Make sure to check out Markline if you have not heard of them. And if you would be a client for a headless instrument, I know it is not for everyone. I mean, some hate design, some hate that it doesn't have a headstock. I think it is really cool. I mean, it's nothing new. There were headless guitars in the 80s or so, I think. Now, the cool thing about this design in particular is that you can put this guitar absolutely like a normal guitar in the stand, because there are headless guitars which do have a really odd shape and they won't fit into a normal guitar stand. Now, guitar hangers, no. Now, if I had the money right now, I would keep this, but I can't. So if you are interested in this can be sold within Europe, and the price is 1700 euros for it, which I think is absolutely killer price. Again, like always from Markline, considering the specs and just the build quality and the sound, you will get an absolutely premium instrument for under 2K, or well under 2K, which is a steal. Make sure to message Markline if you are interested in this absolute beauty. However, consider that it only goes within Europe, so shipping only within Europe for this guitar. Thank you so much for watching. A special thanks goes to my patrons who are supporting me and my channel, especially Alex, which is my biggest supporter. Thank you so much, guys. Just as always, the demo track of this video is available on Patreon, including a backing track and the tabs, so you can play along if you like. So if that sounds interesting for you, make sure to head over to patreon.com/SoNash. Very last but not least, I will release my videos from now on Fridays at 6 p.m. European time. So I will have more consistency, or I try to have more consistency from now on. So you know when to tune in. Take care, and I will see you next Friday.